In today's video, I'm going to show you how to rip your irons and driver on the driving range with a little change of thought for you, and then I'm going to take it on the course and show you how to really put it into play. So a lot of golfers talk about they're a good driver of the ball but maybe struggle with their irons. Some guys are the other way around, and some of you guys out there say that I just struggle with everything. So I'm going to talk through today in this video how you should be delivering the club with an iron that's maybe slightly differently to with driver, what might be causing you to actually struggle, do it with either or both, most importantly how you're going to fix that, and I'm going to show you when you practice what you can work on and then how you can take it out onto the golf course. But just before I get into the main part of the video, if while you're watching today you're enjoying the content, you don't currently subscribe, I'd love it if you hit the button below, ring the notification bell, and then you'll find out whenever I drop a new video. But also, just give it a little thumbs up, like it, and remember to comment below, and that'll help me get my video out there and help more and more golfers. But for now, let's get on with learning how to rip that driver on those irons. Right then, so like I said in the introduction, I think a lot of golfers find that they're maybe good off the tee and struggle with the shots on the floor, or great off the floor and struggle off the tee. And there is a fundamental difference as to how the club needs to travel into the ball when the ball's on the floor and when it's on the tee. So when the ball's on the floor, so kind of irons, hybrids, fairway woods, we need the club to be traveling down through impact. So we need the lowest point of our swing ahead of the golf ball. But with driver, we actually would like the low point behind the golf ball so that when the ball's up on the tee, we're hitting up. And that's going to help us maximize distance and hopefully accuracy. So the big problem, and I actually did a video on this a couple of days ago about the 5 biggest faults for golfers. So if you haven't watched that yet, check it out because it actually might lead to another couple of things that you do. But the biggest challenge for most golfers is all their focus on is the golf ball. So some golfers talk about they look at the back edge, the front edge, the top, a particular dimple. But in my opinion, focusing on the ball, even though I know you're trying to make contact with the ball, really changes the swing and not in a good way. So I'm going to get you to focus in a different area, and it's going to be different with irons and driver to help you really rip both lots of clubs. So the first thing we're going to talk about is because we want the club traveling down with an iron, we need the lowest point of our golf swing to be ahead of the golf ball. So when you're down at the driving range, like my mat leaves a little mark, but you could put something down, you could put a tee down, for example, in the way or in line. But I'm going to put a little line on my mat. And all I'm actually going to try and do is when I swing, instead of trying to hit the ball, I'm going to try and hit that line that's in front of the golf ball. And if I do, the club should travel down. I'll get a nice strike, good ball speed, and good distance on the shot. So it's always worth, I've extended the line a little bit, having a couple of little practice swings. And actually, if anything, I touched ahead of the line there, which would be great. And that feels nice and easy. And the way I'm feeling that is that I don't really move back off the ball. I just feel I turn my back hip behind me. And then on the way down, I shift into my lead leg, moves my sternum slightly towards the target, and that'll move my low point forward. So if you can work on that in practice, have that little visual aid ahead. And we can see there, my low point was 3.5 inches ahead. The club's traveled down nearly 4 degrees. Didn't get all of that one at that distance, but we can see straight away I'm not going to fat the ball, I'm going to hit ball and then turf. And when you've got those shots on the ground, we've got that little line ahead. Again, a good swing, 3.5 inches ahead, 3.7 degrees down. And that one kind of closer to my carry distance. So certainly with irons, we're looking to focus ahead of the golf ball so that the club moves down through impact. Now, with driver, it's different. We're looking for the club to be moving up through impact. So now, a couple of ways you can do this. You could either draw a line behind and not necessarily feel that you hit the ground there, but like you're going to just touch the ground and get that traveling up. Or even, quite a good one, can be as you tee the ball up, try and feel that you're looking at the tee underneath the golf ball. And then what we're looking to do is, as long as you keep your eye back behind the ball, we're still going to move forward with our weight shift, but it's going to help keep more spine tilt into impact and get the club traveling up. And again, this is great to work on the driving range, making sure that you're practicing the right things and getting the results you want. So we're going to set up. I'm going to focus on that little line that's about 3 inches behind the golf ball. Felt solid. And there we are. My low point was 4.7 inches behind. My club's travelled up 3 degrees. And the ball's got out there 262 and 283. Now, generally for me, what golfers tend to do is they tee the ball a bit too low and then really focus on the golf ball too much, especially with driver. So I've got no problem teeing it even higher and maybe try to focus even further back. And a great tip for this can actually be, when you've set up to driver, actually start your driver 3 or 4 inches back behind the golf ball. Makes it easier to see that spot on the ground. And again, if that's your low point, we should, if I do this well, get a little bit more distance. That one felt really solid. So again, 4.7 inches behind, 3.9 degrees up, 276 carry and 298 total. So hopefully you can see when I'm in my studio, potentially when you're on the driving range, by having a little mark ahead with your irons and behind with driver, you're going to change the delivery and it's really going to help you start ripping those clubs. But just to finish off, we're going to head out to the 18th at Heron's Reach. I'm going to try and bomb driver down there like I've just done and then hit a nice crisp iron shot. And I'm going to show you how you can take this advice out onto the golf course. Right, so I'm out on the 18th tee, par 5, Heron's Reach. Beautiful par 5, great opportunity to put what we've just practiced into play on the golf course. So teed the ball nice and high. Again, I'm going to focus back behind the golf ball, start the driver head a little bit further back as well, and then give it a rip, long and straight into the middle of the fairway. And that is absolutely perfect. Right then, so smack bang in the middle of the fairway on 18. Now, interestingly, it's actually very slightly downhill this lie, so this makes it even more important for what we've just worked on the range. So obviously I can't draw a line on the golf course, but there's a little bit of discoloured grass about 2.5 inches ahead of the golf ball. That is going to be my focus. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a practice swing and taking a divot, as long as you replace it afterwards, but try to take that divot ahead of where the golf ball would be. So set up, as we spoke about, maybe turn back behind, shift forward, and then we can take that divot after where the golf ball would be. So we can see there, that'd be a good, maybe 2.5 inches ahead, and my low point probably more like 4 or 5 inches, which for me, I would love to see a little bit more often. So we're going to set up to the golf ball, no focus on the ball at all, going to focus ahead and rip that iron. And again, that's as good as it gets for me. Middle of the green with a putt for eagle. But we can see there, maybe that the divot didn't start as far after, but certainly after where the golf ball would be. That gives me that ball and then turf strike, and that's me ripping driver and irons. Right then guys, so like we spoke about, take your focus away from the golf ball. Don't be looking at the top of the ball, don't be looking at the back, don't be looking at the front edge. With irons, fairway woods and hybrids, pick a spot slightly ahead of the golf ball and try and make sure that the club's touching the ground after the golf ball. And then like we saw with the numbers from TrackMan, the club will be traveling down. You get that ball and then turf strike, and then that's absolutely what you want for shots on the floor. If, however, you want to get a little bit more distance out of driver, which I know all of us do, if you can get the club traveling up, that's going to help you hit the ball further. So with driver, pick a point behind the golf ball and don't be afraid of starting that driver head a little further behind just to encourage that. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like it and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you enjoyed today's video and you're not currently subscribed, I'd love it if you hit the button below, ring the little bell, and then you'll find out whenever I drop a new video. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.